Shalom, shalom. This is Hawud, and I'm about to read this wonderful information I found. But I'm thinking I should go in. I have an older Bible now, too. It took a long time to come. I got an older Bible, so I want to read it from that older Bible first. Then I'll get right into the current stuff. Well, what I have now. Alright, so let me get this out first. Excuse me, I'm sorry for taking my time. Yeah. Give me a second. Almost there. Give me a second. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to read out of the Torah first, Genesis, and then I'm going to read my new information. I'm going to give y'all the book. Don't worry about it. So first I'm going to read this, they call it a footnote. So I'm going to read the footnote first, and then I'll read it. Okay, but at the top it says, man's shameful fall. It says, the serpent deceiveth Eve, 1 through 5. Both she and Adam transgressed the divine command and fell into sin and misery. God arraigneth them. The serpent is cursed, the promised seed. The serpent is cursed. I can't really see it, it's kind of small. The promised seed, the punishment of mankind, their first clothing, their expulsion from paradise. Yeah, I really can't. It's really tiny, yo. Alright, so here we go. Now, the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Most High had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath the Most High said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the Most High hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, you're not saying Eve, they're saying woman, Yea, ye shall not surely die, for the Most High doeth know that in that day ye eat, therefore then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together, and made themselves aprons. And they heard a voice of the Most High walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Most High amongst the trees in the garden. And the Most High called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself. Sorry. And he said, Who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee thou shouldest not eat? And the man said, The woman whom thou givest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And the Most High said unto the woman, What is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And the Most High said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon the belly thou shalt go, and the dust thou shalt eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception in sorrow. Thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be for thy husband. That last part I read, keep that in mind. Alright, look out. That book heavy. Big too. Alright, here we go. The Book of Gleams. Being written from various odd Chaldees books, which were partly destroyed in ancient times. So we already know who partly destroyed some of the stuff. Chapter 1, Maya and Lila. Just listen to this. This was formerly called the Book of Conception, and said to be the first book of the Bronze Book. It concerns man's conception of the true God in olden days during the struggle back towards the light. I'm going to say God, just so you know, I don't mess up nothing, I don't get nothing on twisted. I'm going to just read it the way it is. Once all men were dark and hairy, and in those days women was tempted by the strength of the wildness of the beasts which dwelt in the forest, and the race of man was defiled again. Therefore the Spirit of God was wrathful against woman, for hers was the responsibility to reject the beast within and without, that she might bring forth children of the light, to walk in the light. For in man there is beast and God. You got to, I know. This thing ain't. Oh goodness! Somebody was calling me, and I thought it stopped what I was reading. Oh, I was about to get upset. Hate that. Somebody always calling when I'm doing something. All right, here we go. What was it? In man there is beast and God, and the God walks in light, and the beast walk in darkness. Now because of the wickedness that was done, there are among men those who are the children of the beast. Sounds familiar, right? And they are a different people. Sounds familiar, right? A different people. The race of men alone was punished, for the beast acted according to its nature. In man, the beast and God strive to decide whether he shall take his place among the gods that live or the beasts that die. And women, in her weakness, betrayed him to the beast. You want me to read that again? I think I should. In man, the beast and God strive to decide whether he shall take his place among the gods that live or the beasts that die. And women in her weakness betrayed him to the beast. So he's telling you the woman betrayed the Most High. And I already know what he's saying. The gods that live. See, I don't want to say that we are gods because people get on here and go crazy, but I'm reading it. It's clear as day. He's saying the gods that live. The gods that live are when we don't sin. He tells you when you don't sin, you live. When you sin, you die. And the beasts that die, that's why we dying, because we like beasts right now. It's common sense. Men struggle daily with the beasts and wrest their living from the soil. I'm going to read that again. Men struggle daily with the beast and wrest their living from the soil. Isn't that the curse I just read? Their day being encompassed with strife and toil. So women bring forth children with suffering. And because they are frail, their husbands rule over them. Yeah, that was, I know that's in that chapter I was reading, right? That's what I thought. Story sounds different. Man is conceived in the womb of a woman, and she bring him forth to life. Therefore, when God raised man up from among the beasts, choosing him as his heir, and endowing him with an immortal spirit, he placed a veil over the portals of life. You see that? This that woman should not forget she is unlike all other living creatures and the trustee of the divine mission. This is where I'll be saying that our women, your womb is sacred. You cannot go running around laying up with this man and this man and that man. You are defiling your body. That's what I'm talking about. You marry or you lay down with one man. The man you lay down with, that's your husband. That's it. And if he separates from you and you lay down with another man or so-called get married, you can't go back to the husband that you left or that left you. However it go. You can't go back to him once you lay down with another man. You're defiling yourself. That's all up in Deuteronomy. And, well, not Deuteronomy. It's up in Leviticus. All right, where was I at? All right, for women, not only gives life of a mortal being, and matter of fact, let me go back further. This is that should not. What? Need to go back further than that. Therefore, when God raised man up from among the beasts, choosing him as his heir, and endowing him with an immortal spirit, he placed a veil over the portals of life. This that woman should not forget she is unlike all other living creatures, and the trustee of the divine mission. For a woman not only gives life to a mortal being, she also bears a spark of divinity to earth, and there can be no greater responsibility. The eye that sees earthly things is deceitful, but the eye that sees spiritual things is true. Then, because of the things that happened, the great eye that saw the truth was closed, and henceforth man walked in falsity. Unable to perceive truth, he saw only that which deceived him, and so it shall be until his awakening. Wow, don't that sound familiar? Because what we doing now, what are we chasing after? We trying to be higher spirits, right? We chasing after the Most High, right? We trying to learn his ways, right? So that means you're awakening. You hear this, right? I just want y'all to hear it. Not knowing God, man worshiped earth. Read that again. Not knowing God, man worshiped earth, who mothered him and supplied his needs. Y'all hear it. I'm just reading it. God was not displeased, for such is the nature of children. But when no longer children, they must put aside childish things. I know y'all hear these scriptures coming all out. The Torah coming all out. When you become a man, you put away childish things. Nor having blinded them was the wrathful, that they could not see. For God is above all else understanding. The face of a God Father is stern, and his ways are hard. Exactly. For fatherly duty is no light burden, but his heart is ruled by compassion. His children walk in truth and uprightness. Their feet do not wander, nor do they wilful and wayward. A man is born of mud, sun, and spirit. Wow. In the days of conception, the Spirit of God impregnated the receptive earth. This is right in the papal bull. This backs up, the papal bull backs this up. He impregnated the receptive earth, and she brought forth her children. Then came man, who walked like a little child, but God took him in his hand and taught him to walk in uprightness of God. A race of men came out of the cold northlands. They were under a wise father, and above them was the grand company which later withdrew in disgust. This race was the children of God. They knew the truth and lived in the midst of peace and plenty. The children of men about them were wild and savage, clothed in skins of beasts. They lived like beasts. Even more wild were men of Zumat, who lived beyond them among the children of God. Women had equality with men, for her counsel were known to be wise. She heard with understanding, and her speech was considered. In those days her words were weighed, for then her tongue did not rattle in her head like a seed in a dried up pod. Now you know why they put the women down. Now you know why. Women knew that though man could subdue her with his strength, he was weak in his desire for her. In his weakness lay her power in those days. It was used wisely. It was the foundation of people. The race was good, but because of its goodness, it was disdained to be smitten. For only the good vessel is worthy of the fire. It is burnt, that its shape may be set, and its design endure. The path of peace is not the path of progress. So that's another reason why we're going through what we're going through. It ain't just because we sin. It's also, this is what he's saying, he's taking and bringing us through the fire. This is what he's talking. We're going through the fire now. Well, we've been going through it, generation after generation. The people were not governed by princes or by statutes, but wise men sat in council. They had only a code of conduct and moral tradition binding each one to the other's symmetrical web of life. Those who transgressed the code and tradition were deemed to be unworthy of life among the people and were banished into exile. Among the children of men, women was a chattel. She was subject to man, an object for the satisfaction of his lust, and the servant to supply his needs. He subdued her and kept her in servitude, for her betrayal of man was known even among them, and it was never forgotten, nor could it be forgiven. The children of God valued women highly and protected her from crudeness and cruelty, and her standing was such that she was awarded only to the most worthy man. They held her in respect, for to them she was the foundation of life within their race, the designer of its future. Yet, even so, they had to restrict her, for she was inclined to be willful and unheeding of her responsibility. The people flourished, and from generation to generation grew in stature and comeliness. They were the rising tide waters of mankind surging towards its destiny. The right of a man to mate was decided according to his standard of thought and uprightness, the manner in which he held the code and tradition, and the dealings with man and woman. That pretty much is almost discussing like um the like how pretty much like how they got married and everything, and like a wicked man wasn't allowed to marry a righteous woman because the seed would be all messed up, the child would be crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like we are now, all messed up. All right, what was I at? The fittest men could choose a mate among all women, but lesser men could seek only among the less desirable according to a known standard. To some having only the outward appearance of men, no mate was given. Wow. Wow. The noblest men could take additional ones from among the ranks of lesser women. Thus, the race ever tended to improve to accord with its design. The council of the people knew well the strength of man's desire for women. The force of the urge was not wasted, for their forebears had harnessed to be the vehicle which carried their race to greatness above others, the race which could properly channel the forces contained within itself was ready to control the forces beyond itself. The greatest force man could harness is his benefit, are those lying within himself. But the underlying strength of the people lay in immortality. For its woman, for this was the strength that governed because it was the safeguard for something of value. Oh no, yo, I added a whole extra 2 words. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna read that again. It says the benefit of those lying within himself, but the underlying strength of the people lie in the mortality, okay, of its women. I'm sorry, y'all. For this was the strength that governed because yeah, because it was safeguard for something of value. Men strive for gold and value it because it is something not easily obtained. For gold would be gathered by the handful. Men would scorn it. Its power is in its scarcity. And yo, I swear, if y'all read like the conquest and stuff, it even tell you like the natives, they didn't value the gold. They just gave it to the Spaniards because they knew it was wicked. You start falling in love with it was wicked. All right, I'm gonna read a little bit more, and then I'm gonna stop from here, and I guess I can pick it up again. Then it happened that at that one man became arrogant. You hear that? Here it come. In the strength of his manhood and pride of place, his thoughts inclined towards himself rather than towards the welfare of the people. Here we go. He scorned the old ways, declaring the code and tradition an unnecessary burden laid on the backs of men. He said, "Why should we carry the burden of things which have come down to us from our fathers?" Here you go. How do we know they walk with wisdom? How can we say that was good from them is good for us? Because of his unruly speech and waywardness, the council banished him for a time and had him remain apart. His heart would have been humbled in wisdom, but among the children of God there was a woman, one of the most desirable and fair, who interceded for him, so he might return to dwell among them. It being in their code that the wayward could always regain their place, the woman sought him out in the wilderness, and coming upon him, said, "I'm done." Y'all want to hear some more? Leave me some comments. I know where I'm at. I got y'all. Leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. Because this actually is lining right up with the papal bull. You read the papal bull, most of it's lining up with that. All right, y'all. Shalom.